Hey everyone, and welcome to this Marvel Snap Beginner's Guide on the best beginner deck available in Marvel Snap. And in this guide, I'll be taking you through everything you need to know about this deck, including what cards are obviously in the deck, cards that you can substitute that make sense in this particular style of deck, and moreover, later on in the video, and it'll be in the scrub bar below, I'll provide two gameplay examples of me piloting the deck so that you guys can see it in action. With that being said, if you are new to Marvel Snap, by the way, I'm Alex, and I hope that you like the content on the channel. We're doing a ton of Marvel Snap content, and this isn't just some like cheesy like, hey YouTuber subscribe type thing. For real, like if you actually are interested in Marvel Snap, these things change all the time, the decks change, and I'd love to keep you up to date. So consider subscribing and smash the like button if if I can be even more YouTuber cringe. But anyways, here we are, the beginner deck of Marvel Snap. So basically the way this deck works, it's very straightforward. Now first of all, these are all pool 1 cards and starter cards, so cards that you get just by playing the game within the first 215 or so collection level. So within the first few hours of the game, you will unlock almost all of these cards. So if you don't see them right away, don't fret, you're going to unlock them rather rapidly. And again, I will be providing you some alternate cards as well. But the way that this deck works, essentially, is that you're supposed to play very wide on the board. You're trying to actually kind of occupy all 3 lanes at the same time, which usually is kind of a no-no in Marvel Snap. Like, you only need to win 2 of the 3 lanes, so occupying all 3, you kind of spread yourself thin, but that's exactly what this deck does. You spread out. Cards like Squirrel Girl allow you to spread out very effectively by dropping tons of 1-drop squirrels everywhere. And then you have Ant-Man, who benefits from the very wide board and having a 4-slotted board. And then moreover, you have Nightcrawler. What Nightcrawler does is he provides you the opportunity to move into locations that might not, like you might not be able to play cards, or it gives you a lot of flexibility. But most important about Nightcrawler is Nightcrawler's interaction with Angela. Angela, every time you play a card in her location, will gain 2 additional power. So Angela is often the first card you want to play in a given location. And the nice thing about Nightcrawler is once you play Angela, you play Nightcrawler into Angela's location and then move him out, which allows you to play an additional card so that you can give her an additional +2. So Nightcrawler is like a freebie for Angela in a lot of ways, because you are limited by how many cards can be in a location, right? 4 cards. If you play Angela, you can only play 3 after. But if you play Angela with Nightcrawler, you can play 4 after, because Nightcrawler moves out of the way. That's kind of the strategy with Nightcrawler Angela. And then you have Medusa, and Medusa is just a pure tempo play at this point. What Medusa does is, for a 2 cost, you play her in the mid lane. She provides you with 4 power for 2 costs. She's just a very strong tempo play, giving you a little bit more of a presence, and that's kind of what you want. These beginner decks are less about being fancy and more about actually just having a solid presence throughout the match. And then you have Colossus. The reason why we have Colossus is because there are a lot of locations that reduce power of heroes, that reduce that could be destroyed and stuff like that, and Colossus provides you with some flexibility to play into those locations that might negatively impact other players. And then you have Wolfsbane. Now Wolfsbane is fantastic because for every single card you have at a given location, he gets 2 additional power. So the nice thing about this is that you're playing a zoo deck with lots of minions, and I shouldn't say minions, heroes on board. And so the result of that is Wolfbane's very likely to be the 4th card that drops to provide you with a massive influx of power for 3 cost. And then you have Bishop. Now Bishop's amazing because he's one of those heroes that you kind of like leave in one lane and allow him to just solo push that lane. You want to play him on 3 if possible, because he's the kind of card that the longer he's in the game, the more value he provides for you. So you want to play him first, and then what you want to do is then you want to play the other cards so that he continuously increases in value. If you play him on turn 5, you really are limited with how much you can drive him up, but playing him on turn 3, he provides you with a lot of utility. For instance, if you actually look at the turn 3 cards here, you have Bishop, Cosmo, and you have Wolfsbane. In this case, you'd want to have Bishop out first. You could hold Wolfsbane for like a later play on turn 4, 5, or even 6 if you have to, because like his effect doesn't really require him to come out at turn 3. In fact, it's more likely that you are able to fill a slot and drop him as the 4th card after turn 3. Cosmo's important because he's a tech card. What he does is he allows you to counter a lot of the popular decks, and as a new player, you're gonna have a hard time determining, what opponents might be doing to you, what decks they might have, because you're still learning. Like, you don't know all the decks, right? In all the cards. As you gain experience, you start to identify certain play patterns, which will result in you understanding, oh, this is a discard deck, or this is a Infinite deck, or you'll start to identify what kind of decks are being played against you, and Cosmo can allow you to counter a lot of those decks. So he's a fantastic card to utilize in order to make sure that you have some tech against people that are trying to be really fancy on you. You can shut them down, and sometimes Cosmo results in like immediate retreats and the opponent giving up because he's that impactful as a card. Khazar is fantastic because he upgrades all your 1-cost cards by 1 additional power. Moreover, he's a 4/4, which is pretty decent stat line. It's not the best, but you're getting a lot of value because all of 1-cost cards are getting increased value, which include all of the squirrels from Squirrel Girl, including Ant-Man and Nightcrawler as well. Moreover, you have Jessica Jones on turn 5. Now, Jessica Jones is a value play. With Jessica Jones, she is essentially a 5/10 if you don't play in that location, but the hint that you're not playing in that location the next turn can be used by your opponent to kind of, play their hand with, more appropriately, so to speak. So she is obviously a relatively early on beginner card, so that's why we include her here as well. And then finally, America Chavez, which is just so good. This is one of the best cards in the game, in my opinion, for a couple reasons. The first is that you always draw the card on turn 6, so you always have an impactful turn 6 play. Moreover, you never draw her before, which is important because by never drawing her before, you theoretically thin your deck by 1, and by thinning your deck by 1, it makes sure that you pull your more impactful cards earlier on. It actually kind of makes sure your tempo plays a little more like on curve, for instance. So, you're more likely to play Bishop on 3, Squirrel Girl on 1, Angela on 2, for instance, right? Because you've removed and thinned your deck by 1, increasing the odds of you drawing those cards that you need the most. And this card allows you to, for instance, play less 1-drops than others might need because, you're probably going to have a 1-drop on turn 1. So that's the basic deck for the beginner deck. Now, there are some options to, for additional cards. For instance, I'll highlight a few of the cards. The first being Iceman. Iceman is a great card, so if you want to replace one of the 1-drops, or you want to remove a 2-drop and add Iceman instead, or even a 3-drop for that matter, like you want to get rid of Cosmo, you can use Iceman. Iceman's fantastic. He can have a tremendous impact on kind of negating enemy combos or delaying them, so Iceman is a great card. Similarly, Korg is a fantastic 1-drop as well, because now, at first glance, you might think, Alex, shuffling a rock in your opponent's deck, like, who actually cares about shuffling a rock into the opponent's deck? But what's so important about this is you've now diluted their deck, making it less likely that they can pull the key cards that they need to do the combos that they want to play, right? So Core can be incredibly disruptive because of this little damn rock. He's a great 1-drop to consider. Now, moving along with the kind of theme of the zoo theme, another good card that works well as a 2-drop is, where is he? Am I blind here? Where is, there he is. It's Sentinel. Now, Sentinel as a card isn't all that great. He's okay as a 2/3 power, it's like very baseline. However, adding an additional Sentinel to your hand can be valuable because it means that you always have like another card you can play next turn no matter what. Because, if you're playing him on turn 2, you can obviously play him on turn 3, right? And you might have a tempo play where you draw like Nightcrawler and you have the Sentinel you just pulled back in your hand and you play both of them into Angela, for instance. So he kind of like evens out your hand a bit. He's another good option as well. Another fantastic option is Armor. Again, all of these are pool 1 cards and beginner cards. Armor's fantastic because a major counter to the Zoo style deck is someone like Killmonger who destroys all of the cards that are 1 cost on the playing field. And the problem with that is it'll wipe out pretty much your entire combo and basically end your game. So you can use Armor to protect your 1-drops. So if you have like Ant-Man, Squirrel Girl, and others kind of all in one area, you can actually drop Armor into that location and protect them and prevent them from being destroyed. Moreover, Armor is a counter to some of the destroy decks and kill decks that are out there that use like Venom and Carnage and other cards to destroy their cards. Nova is another example of that, to destroy their cards to buff their units. So Armor is an also awesome tech card as well. Another card that's fantastic here, let me just find him, is a Captain America, one of everyone's favorite Avenger. I shouldn't say that. Is he everyone's favorite Avenger? He's pretty awesome, isn't he? But the Avengers are so awesome, it's hard to choose. I said that out loud and thought, you know what, I'm gonna get people in the comments gonna be like, Alex, Captain America ain't my favorite Avenger. But anyways, I'd love to hear who your favorite Avenger is anyway. Captain America is awesome. Like if you want to replace someone like Cosmo, he works perfectly with the Zoo kind of style because he comes in as a 3/3, which again is very mediocre tempo, but he's providing all other cards with that +1 power. And when you're running a Zoo deck and you have Squirrels and you have, Nightcrawlers and you have Ant-Mans, they really benefit from that +1 as 1-cost units, right? So Captain America is a fantastic choice as well. Moving on to the 5-cost. A great choice is Claw. This might surprise some people, and I think Claw is pretty cool if you want to replace Jessica Jones. The reason for this is because Claw gives you the ability to play into a location that you might not usually be able to. Like locations have negative, negative zone, which reduces your strength of any card there by 3, or zones that do not allow you to play cards at all, or cards or zones that kill the cards that when they're played there, or destroy the cards, I should say. So he provides you with a lot of flexibility, much like Nightcrawler does, and can be used as this pseudo tech card to help you close out some games. And finally, if you want to get rid of your 6-drop, Blue Marvel is a good choice as well. He's a little weak at 6'4" as his own body, but giving all other cards across the board 1 additional power is super valuable, especially when you consider you're comboing this with someone like Coccia, because Coccia is giving your 1-drops +1, and then you have Blue Marvel giving your 1-drops +1. So now all of a sudden your 1-drops are pretty substantial, right? So anyways, those are more or less like the beginner-friendly cards in Pool 1 that you can utilize to kind of like, mix up and play with the deck a little bit. And of course, I really encourage you to deck build on your own too. It's one of the best parts about the games. So anyways, now what we're going to do is we're going to take you through a couple examples of Marvel Snap using this beginner's deck. Alright, so we just loaded into a game here. We got Nova Roma. Draw us a card. Nice. Now, this is what the game usually looks like if you're playing on mobile. What we're going to do here is we're going to cut to a custom screen, which is going to give us a better viewpoint of what's going on, a little more zoomed in. You got the deck list as well. So right off the bat, I see that we don't have Angela, which is painful because that is the play you want to make with Nightcrawler. But in the meantime here, what we can do, we can actually tempo play Nightcrawler. It feels terrible, but we do have a pretty good curve here. It kind of guarantees us a play on turn 3 as well if we hold him. What I'm going to do, actually, I take that back. We're gonna hold on to Nightcrawler. I'll show you why in a second. So we're gonna hold Nightcrawler, let him play here. He plays Squirrel Girl in, which can be risky when you don't know what the other locations are. If you have negative zone, he's basically playing from behind. Okay, so no cards are revealed for this turn. Not bad. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to tempo play Colossus into this location. If you're going to gamble with any of them, Colossus is probably the best gamble here, because if this is negative zone or something crazy, he doesn't really get impacted because he can't be destroyed. He can't have his power reduced, so he's fine. So what we do now in this case here, we're going to have this zone revealed. Add a squirrel to each location. My gosh, there's squirrels everywhere. What just happened is what I said. I know you can't really see the emote there. But what we're going to do here is this is actually pretty good for Wolfsbane too. We're going to play Bishop into this location here. We have Coccia as well, which is going to buff this entire deck. Which it looks like he's playing something similar. He plays Agent 13, and he plays Nightcrawler as well, so he's got 1-drops galore. I'm expecting Coccia and Blue Marvel to come out in this given situation. What we have here is an opportunity to really close out this location. He has a 2-drop, a 1-drop, and a 1-drop. We can play Ant-Man into Wolfsbane here, and what that's going to do is not only going to buff Bishop, but it's going to give Ant-Man the +3, and it's going to give him... It's going to be a 3/7, so it's an absolutely huge play, and I'm actually going to snap on him because I think that he's not going to be able to actually win this location, even with his tech cards that might improve his chances of winning. He skips turn 4, which is a little awkward. If he's playing a Zoo-style deck, skipping turn 4 is a little strange. But when this happens, it tricks the alarm bells in me. Like, what's this guy's plan? Now, Angela's a little late here. We wish we could pull Angela a little earlier. But it is what it is. So what we want to do here instead is we have a tough choice. Do we play someone like Jessica Jones and take that tempo? Or do we play Coccia, who's going to benefit pretty much everyone on the board? Now, we only have to win 2 of the 3 locations. Ironically, they have 3 cards in these locations, so we can only play... Actually, I shouldn't say that. He's got Nightcrawler. He can move. So what I'm going to do instead, we have a little more power in this location. I'm actually going to force the issue here. The reason for this is because we make a situation where I can play on turn 6 American Chavez into either of the locations. And I'm actually going to play Nightcrawler here as well, because it's not only going to buff Bishop, but it also gives us some some optionality as to how we can move him to actually play mind games with our final turn 6 play. We also have Cosmo here, which could be valuable as well if we think we need to block a combo, which I don't think we do. So we have Khazar coming out. Everyone gets buffed across the board, literally every single card except Wolfsbane. And then you have Nightcrawler, who obviously gets the buff as well. We have a 19 drop, 19 strength here, 20 strength now. Mr. Sinister comes. We actually, this guy loses because now he's got nothing in this location. Captain America comes out there. This guy is a complete train wreck right now. He's got a retreat. Chavez goes mid. We win. This is a very straightforward win. Even if he wins this location, like, it doesn't matter. So I drop America Chavez mid. 21, 11, Blue Marvel comes out. It's not enough to buff everyone. He's short by 1. And we had done the calculations in my head. I should have said it out loud. I told you before that I expected Blue Marvel to come out, right? That was the expectation. However, I did the math in my head and I realized that the +1 across the board isn't going to be enough for Blue Marvel because this location's full. We have a 9 drop and I knew he was going to be 1 short in each of the locations. So it worked out perfectly. We won all 3 locations in what was a pretty interesting game, and one honestly that was kind of unexpected. Like, we didn't play Angela on curve like we wanted to. We didn't play Jessica Jones like we usually do, but this is what Marvel Snap does. You got to think on your toes. All right, we've got game number 2 here. Let's see what we get here. And Shuffle 5. Oh my, this is a disaster. This is the worst location in the game. You'll learn to hate it. My God, it ruins games. So anyways, we didn't get the best draws here, which is fine, but we got at least a couple tempo plays. This is going to destroy our hand completely. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to, so after each turn, get 1 power. So we're going to actually want to get there rather fast. We're going to put Angela there right now, and then we're going to want to put Bishop elsewhere. Or are we for? Oh, huge value play on the Scorpion. Hell yes. Now Colossus will just have it reset anyways, but that's pretty good, man. I got to give him credit. I like that play a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to play Bishop. We're going to put Bishop on the left side. He's going to help us kind of push the lane a little bit here. He's throwing down Wave, which is going to let us play Jessica Jones, honestly. He played it in a different location, which is a little strange here, but we're going to play the Jessica Jones. We don't need to play it mid, actually, but we're going to. No, we're not. We're going to play it on the right. The reason for this is because we want to, it doesn't matter where she ends up, really. Actually, no, let's play her on the left. I know I'm being a little indecisive here, but let's get rid of the RNG here. That doesn't benefit us, but owning a consistent lane will, and I think we can win mid. So let's drop Jessica Jones here. He's going to get a little value here. He drops leader, drops to Jessica Jones. It's a lot of value. Thumbs up, buddy. I like that play. So this is the disadvantage of playing a beginner's deck into someone with a massive card pool in pool 3, which is exactly what's happening here. He's able to copy the cards I play. Very good leader play into the Jessica Jones, and leader just copies whatever I play on the turn. So, you know, that's pretty solid, honestly. So what we're going to do here instead is we have a couple options. We're going to play Medusa into Ant-Man into Squirrel Girl here. It's gonna lock down this lane with a 4 stack here, but you're gonna see Angela get a lot of value. And the problem is that this Squirrel Girl is gonna be a little nightmarish, because what it's gonna do is it's actually, he gets the Taskmaster. That's a bit of a misplay. But we end up giving Angela a lot of buffs here. Ant-Man gets pretty big as well. He's able to close the gap here, so he has to play another card mid. Squirrel Girl comes down. Ant-Man gets the buff. Angela gets the buff as well. We're pretty wide. The problem is that we are going to be in a situation where this stupid squirrel is going to end up right here in Subterranea. So we really can't improve this location at all. But I'm going to snap on this guy because we do have a very strong turn 6 play. It's one of the benefits of this deck. So we can also, if we want to, we are winning 2 locations. He's gone. He's gone because he knows we out-tempoed him. And I mean, that was a really interesting play there. It was a bit of a weird game. I mean, all Marvel Snap games are weird. But anyways, this worked out pretty well. You get to see some of the fancy cards that come out, and even with a beginner deck, I'm still beating guys with pool 3 cards. So don't ever get discouraged. Don't think that, oh, because I don't have this card, I can't win games, or because, you know, I don't have this card, I can't win games, or whatever. I'm using basic cards from pool 1. And I just beat this guy, and so can you. Thank you so much for watching, and I really think you should watch this next video, which I think is a ton of fun and really informative for everyone playing Marvel Snap. Thank you so much for watching, and a very special thank you to all of our wonderful subscribers. We'll see you in the next Marvel Snap video.